All right, here we go.
All
Welcome
right.
to the Miller Law Chronicle podcast. Today, we're going to take a detour and we're going to talk about a subject that's very important to me and I'm very passionate about it, and it's basketball. And in particular, today we're going to talk about the Harry and Rose Samson Family JCC Adult Basketball League. But before we get into this, I'd like to do a little disclaimer. So, this podcast was not approved by the JCC. We're kind of doing it on our own. And this podcast is not authorized by the JCC. We never ask for permission, but we'll seek for forgiveness when we're done. It's not a sponsored event. The views and opinions expressed by my colleagues and friends here today are those of ourselves and those that appear and don't necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the JCC. I'm being the lawyer that I am, protecting the J. So the bottom line is, if we say something stupid or offensive, it's on each one of us. So no calling Ryan Odesky or Mark Shapiro if someone gets upset. So for 30 years, I've been hitting the hardwood at the Harry and Rose Samson Family JCC. It's been a big part of my life since I grew up in Canton, Ohio, where I played the game with my friends, my brother Todd. I practically lived a stone's throw away from the JCC, and it was where we spent countless hours honing our skills. But basketball, especially for adults, is more than just a sport. It's a powerful catalyst for nurturing our passion, forging lifelong friendships, and cultivating a profound sense of community. What's unique about the JCC basketball, especially here in Milwaukee, is its inclusivity. Whether you're Jalen King, who I think is barely 21 and not able to drink legally, or David Rosengarten, just a few years removed from Nicolay High School basketball, or maybe Jimmy Neubauer, who probably should have retired a couple years ago and is in his 60s, or Steve Werner, who certainly should have retired a few years ago, who we think is in his 80s, but he tells us he's in his 70s. In fact, got a chance to play with him on Sunday, and he hit the floor pretty hard a couple times. And we welcome individuals like Sam Alexander, who, after a brief hiatus, and returns after a brief 2 year hiatus, he returns a few pounds heavier and several years older. We also have Senate candidate Alex Lazary and former Bucks owner who's joining us for the last couple of years, and players like Trish Swish Patton, who would be playing with us this year but is injured. We even have rabbis in Wes Colmer and Moise Stegman, and a judge in David Borowski. We have a police officer in Ray Moore and Steve Blackman, who continues to put up long range threes despite a full knee replacement just a few years ago. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. The JCC is a place to find home. We're a diverse and tight knit community that transcends conventional boundaries. We have brothers like Leonard and Demetrian McLean, Ari and David Rosengarten. We have fathers and sons like Damius and Sam Alexander, Steve and Lamont Blackman, and Frankie Harris and Myron Hood. Our roster includes towering figures like Joe Voigt and small players like Aaron Stern, proving that size is no barrier to belonging. Incredibly, we have a member who faced a life threatening heart attack on the court, was miraculously revived using a defibrillator, and has found the courage to return to the league. But we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that later. Our basketball court ignites competitive spirit within us, the thrill of dribbling the ball, or in Tom Genski's case, throwing it away, or executing a flawless jump shot, or making a crucial defense play is incredibly fulfilling. However, for us adults, the most significant aspect goes beyond the game. It's the friendships we build, the shared love for basketball that creates the bonds that transcend age, background, or profession. On the court, we become teammates, pushing each other to excel, celebrating victories and losses alike. Off the court, these friendships extend beyond the hardwood, including social gatherings, shared meals, collaborative work in not-for-profit initiative, job referrals, and constant support through life's ups and downs. This shared enthusiasm for basketball weaves a sense of unity and common purpose that extends far beyond the game itself. And this is exactly what our podcast is about today. So, today, with our amazing guests, we're going to talk about JCC basketball as a conduit and a source of enduring friendships and a platform for fostering a tight knit community. But we're also going to do a fun season preview for the opening of our JCC Adult Basketball League that starts in a few weeks. Today, I'm just really fortunate to have several guests, and it looks like our technology is working. I have Tom Genske here, Damius Alexander, Rodney, no one passes like Rodney Barrage, Brian Sadoff, Jordan Love, and Ari Rosengarten. And I want to go around and kind of chat with each one of you and kind of ask you a couple questions. And I want to start with Rodney, the esteemed Rodney Barrage. And I want to know, when you started playing basketball at the J, Rodney, what attracted you to to JCC basketball? And tell us a little bit about something about yourself.
Well, thank you, Jamie. I've been away from the home court JCC for about, I'd say maybe 5 or 6 years, but I did play in the league for over 30 years. What attracted me there was Stanley Harris, another black brother from the hood, brought me to the JCC, and we played one-on-one in 1988. And they told me there was a league, so shortly after I got in the league, and I still have that paperwork from that league that year, or from our league, the JCC league, back in '88. I think the paperwork, I have some clearer copies, but it was the JCC. It was home. Once I got there, I never left. I didn't play in any leagues in the city until like maybe 20, 25 years later. And somebody from the J, actually, no, I played about 10 years later, 5, 6 years. Somebody from the J brought me into play in the city league, Eddie Favorite. Everybody remembers and loves Eddie Favorite. But JCC has been home. When I got out there, I met a lot of good people. Um, Dave Bordeaux sort of made me his adopted Jewish brother. So I've been part of the JCC family since 1988. And the basketball has just opened a lot of doors with social networks and social capital, and just friendships like Jamie. I love this man. Jamie's doing this podcast, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Wouldn't miss it for the world. And Jamie's done so much good work in the community. No matter what, I'm going to be on this podcast if he asks me to. And I'm glad I am, because I got some real good stories. And it's called Rodney Barrage Sr., Who Passes Better. You have to go to the NBA to find somebody that passes better. You're not going to find anybody passes better in college or on the playground. No, you have to go to the NBA. You might find somebody. Go check maybe Chris Paul or somebody. I don't know. But it's hard to find somebody that passes better than Rodney Barrage.
Well,
And
you're
my
welcome
running
back
buddy, Mike
anytime.
Turnoff.
Mike Tarnoff, another
Yeah,
name from
point
the
guard.
past, a great name.
There you go.
Brian
Point guard.
Sadoff, right? Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What attracted you to the J? How long you've been playing? All that kind of fun stuff.
Just a basketball junkie growing up, and I moved back from Chicago in 1997. Yeah, and been playing at the J ever since then. Probably played as a little kid when I was there. And as everybody's alluding to so far, or Jamie, that introduction that Felicia wrote for you, hey, it's a great bunch of guys, and it's fun hanging out with everybody and getting to know everybody. And, yeah, it's a good way to burn off energy.
It's awesome. How about J Love? Tell us what's going on with you. What brought you to the J?
Well, Sean McDowell, my uncle, he was a member. And he told me about the league. And since then, I've been playing. And it's just like a good community to be around, more of a safe environment just to be, even meeting people or anything. And like Rodney said, he's one of the great passers. Even if you're on his team or not, he'll pass you the ball. I love that guy. And my first year in the league, I actually played against his team and won a championship. So, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a
you
good
got me
community to be
mixed up.
around.
Hold up a minute.
Good
No,
environment.
you thinking of TOT, turnover time. He'll pass you the ball on the other team.
Good memories, Rodney. No, it's just good people, man, and friendly people. Good environment to bring my kids. Everyone's friendly to them, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you too. How many years you been playing now?
I probably play maybe 7 seasons in total, but I've been around longer than that.
Let's turn it over to TOT. Rodney, turnover Tom. Do you know where that name came from?
Well, I mean, just like no one passes better. Nobody turns the ball over more than Tom. It came from just it came from, I believe it came from John Kernick's Rhinos bar that was Davies Port 2 later. It came from way back in the early 90s when Brian was a kid. That's when Tom got, and he's famous all over the world for that name.
He is. I mean, you go to Florida, you go to California. Yep. It's everywhere. Do you have a Rodney, do you have a turnover in particular that stands out? Like maybe a championship game with
Yeah. Oh no. I got. If I'm not mistaken, from what I remember, Tom threw the ball. It was a pass. It wasn't deflected. He threw the ball. I believe Steve was up on the bicycle on the track. And Tom passed it to Steve up on the bicycle, on the stationary bicycle. Tom passed it up to the track. That was the best turnover ever.
Tom, do you remember that?
Yeah.
What goes into having that nickname, Turnover Tom? Tell us how you've embraced that name and why it's important to you.
It's just hustle. It's just I get the deal and then I turn it over and right it's a hustle. Well, I joined the J in 1992. That was a place I wanted to introduce my son Tony to a place where he could play when he's not at school. And it was a great place to form relationships, meet people. And to this day, I have friends who are no longer members of the J, but I still keep in contact with them, like Lou and Oli, Rodney, Bruce, who passed, Bruce Maher, who passed. A lot of good people out there, a lot of good relationships, a lot of good memories. And a nice thing about it's the only place you can go and get in a ball game, and you can play with an 18-year-old kid on one side of the court and a 75-year-old guy on the other side of the court. But everybody gets together. It's a melting pot.
Yes, most definitely.
Well said.
Something else.
Never any
Quinn, what
fights.
about you?
Never any fights.
Oh, there's fights.
Who? I didn't see a fight. I never saw a fight here.
Jamie said, "Hold on, Jamie. You say he
I saw somebody get knocked out, but that wasn't really a fight. I mean, the guy punched him. The guy
wasn't really a
that
fight."
runs his barbershop punched this guy for calling him a racial slur, and I mean that was about it. It wasn't a fight. He just punched him. The guy fell down.
There's disagreements. Twin, tell us about you.
There's some 1980s
Twin,
basketball
you're
going on right now.
Twin, you're
man.
muted, my friend.
Yeah, my fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, which doesn't happen too often that Twins muted.
I
It's
know.
been
He right
taken
about
over
there.
the
Take
mouth of the
advantage of
league
that
since Rodney left.
No, I started in 2001, and Coach Rodney Barrage brought me. I had played for him in a different league called In the Paint, and I just remember he called me and told me I can shoot better than I do. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, when you catch the ball, you got to dribble then shoot. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? He was like, catch and shoot. So I remember he brought me down to the JCC, and it was just me and him in the gym for about an hour and a half. He would just pass me the ball and he would shoot. I couldn't dribble the ball. So I've been there ever since. I think my first year I played was a horrible year. I had B1 on my team. I never seen the ball. But back then, I think it was probably maybe 4 teams. I want to say 4 teams with the 18 and up one. And first year I won championship was with Rodney.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Championship.
Me, D.I. Emmons, D1, Jesus. What's the guy name played with
Jack
Damian, 2 years ago?
Latrell.
Jack Latrell. Jack is one of the funnest players to play with. He don't want the ball, but he will run up and down court for 50 straight minutes. He'll do whatever you want him to do.
Oh, that you
Let
talking
you play
about
with
that
Damian.
championship twin?
Yeah,
Oh yeah. You came to the game at halftime. Most of the games, right? Showed up at halftime.
Hey, I see a couple questions down at the bottom that's targeting me. We're gonna get into that later though.
We'll get into that. Let's go over to Damius. Out of full disclosure, we have Damius and Dame, not Dame Lillard, Damius Alexander, and Ari. We're all on the same team. Miller and Miller.
Greatest player in JCC history.
Dame.
Who?
Dame.
Who?
That's still Steve.
Yeah.
Most dominant player in JCC history.
Dame
Original
Alexander.
Dame time.
I told Dame if we win that we're going to win this year if he's MVP. I said, we'll
What did
win
I
it
tell
all.
you, Jamie?
Sorry.
He's
What did I
MVP.
tell you? What did I tell you, Jamie?
I know. He told you. Well, we'll talk about that. But tell us a little bit
Yo,
about
I'm
yourself. I want to talk about that because it puts some pressure on the other person on our team that's on the screen too. But but I don't want to just talk about Miller and Mark.
I don't think he has a conscience to feel pressure.
That's true. That's true. So, Damius, tell us about you. What brings you to the JCC? How long you've been here? And how'd you get biceps like that?
Hey, they went up on the membership fees. I said, I got to put this membership to use. I need 24-hour access, swimming pool. I'm in the yoga class, bicycling class. I need to get my money.
Where to go?
But no, I came down. You said what?
Where to go?
I came down to the J. It was maybe about 96, 97, somewhere around there. Obviously, my dad got a membership. And I don't know if it was Ronnie that brought him down there. It was somebody that brought him down. I think it was Ronnie, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously he signed up. Obviously, I was a younger kid at the time. So I was just the one on the side, like most kids that we see now, just dribbling the ball on the side, trying to shoot in between timeouts and at open gyms, just trying to shoot right before the game start because they wouldn't let me play. And Tom used to always tell me, get off the court. And I'm 14, 15, and Tom telling on me, talking about he ain't old enough to play with us. So, I was going through that stuff like most, but
You still got my autograph?
I
My
do.
autograph that you have?
It's actually on that paper in my room. But So yeah, I've been kind of, I was off and on coming down there. Obviously in the '90s, that was obviously me coming with my dad, and then I took a little bit of hiatus, and then I started consistently coming down there myself, probably 2007. When I came home from college, and I mean, just kind of like what we're all saying, which I think is strength to the accuracy that we all, have in the environment. Is the league is it's a great camaraderie of guys from different walks of life, different professions. A lot of us, some of us, we played always in the inner city. And, you had to have a different demeanor. You had to go in shape, because you never knew how things would go. So, I think as far as the league, it also kind of, for me, I know it kind of helped me keep a perspective, a broader perspective on life, instead of some of the things that we were around, seeing people, just in professions, just, standing around listening to conversations and just, just seeing people play level headed. You ain't got to be angry when you play, you ain't got to want to fight when you play, So I think the league just kind of gives you just kind of a broader outlook. For me, it was kind of like seeing the other side of business, just how things actually, was done. Like, oh, these guys, they work a job and they come play ball. Everybody I played ball with thought they was going to the NBA, even if they were grown. So that's what the league was for me. That's how long we've been playing, and yeah, still here trying to do what I can when I can.
I love that. And then let's go to Ari. Tell us a little bit about what you've been in the J a long time.
Long time. I started going to the J probably when I was like 4 years old. So back in '98. I've been going there ever since. I went to school right across the way at Milwaukee Jewish Day School, and then went to high school at Nicolay. So went there frequently, 3-4 days a week after school. Back in 2011, starting like the fall of my senior year of high school, I actually teamed up with Aaron Miller, not Jamie's daughter, but Aaron Miller, who was the commissioner of the league for a while. He brought me on to kind of reestablish the rules a little bit and get a new formality back into the league, establishing better processes for setting up on Sundays, getting everybody, taken care of, getting the stats ready. So I worked the league for a few years before I decided I didn't want to work on Sundays anymore and just play in the league. Played on some frustrating teams, played on some fun teams. Damius and I won a championship a few years back against Walt.
Oh, Walt, baby love.
A few?
And Walt
Love
was Walt was adamant that we started the game over because unfortunately because of a bomb threat that year, actually we had to stop the game at halftime. But
What made that call?
We were up by like 31 points at half, and he wanted to start over. So, so
Hey, they had Mike on that team, I think.
we didn't.
I don't remember who their first round pick was. I think Mike was on that team too.
I don't remember. I know Chris Moore was on that team because we beat them.
Okay.
Because
So
Chris
must be
didn't
Chris
get
and
one
Mike.
until this past year, and I was giving him shit about it the whole time up until then. But yeah, I mean, like everybody else, I've built a very large extended family because of the league. I've known Jamie since I was very young. His daughter and I were friends from the time we were like 5 years old. Jamie's always been like a family member to me as far as, somebody who I could go to my whole life. Meeting Twin and Leonard and those guys have been giving me a hard time since I was about 13. Rodney was my coach in middle school.
Hey.
All right, so Ari, you're one of the better players in the league.
What?
You're one of the better players at the J. You give any kudos to Rodney?
Yeah, I'll give him kudos for making sure that I knew that I wasn't very good always. So I always had to keep working.
Well, you had some good players there, Are you had Dave Winter, Greg, you had Sam Levine,
It was
Dave.
it was good. It was just It was, I was very short. I mean, when I was a freshman in high school,
Hey, tell
I was
one of
about
them to bring me the
5'8".
charger.
So it took a while for me to grow. And then, paid my dues standing on the side, waiting for you guys to finish playing like everybody else who started coming before they were old enough to play. And, like Damius was talking about before, me and my brothers, we all went through that. But honestly, like throughout the hardest segments of life that I've had, like I've always been able to fall back on the JCC league, and have a bunch of people who I knew would have my back no matter what was going on. Whether it was starting college and having to drop out of school and come back to Milwaukee and have that be a kind of a hard hit. Like there was a lot of different moments in my life where this was really the consistent thing that was able to keep me going no matter what. All the shit talk, all the messing around, all the competitiveness, it's all just a big family. So it's something that's extremely important to me. So
Yeah. I want to second on
And
that.
I think that's something
Can
special
I come
about
in
the
on
league.
that, Jamie?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Just like Ari said, I mean, the J has been such a big part of my life, my adult life. And my kids grew up at the J swimming and taking different lessons at the J. And I actually started a program in the inner city called Operation Dream, from going to my basketball friends who had always helped out with funds and resources for my basketball AAU teams and all that stuff. But when I wanted to make a bigger impact in the city, I went to my friend Ed Brickman and asked him if he'd help me start a mentoring program. He said yes, but he didn't want to be the only one. I said, we'll find some more. Don't worry about it. Get some more people. I went to Mike Turnoff, came in. Steve Warner offered to be the treasurer of the organization because he said he was the treasurer at his synagogue. So I said, cool. So we started the program with 2 boys and grew to over 300 boys. Started me asking for gifts from guys that had resources. I think I raised $15,000 the first year. We were up under someone else's fiscal agent. And then when we started our whole board, when I left in 2018, we had an annual budget of $1 million and over 300 boys in the program. Jamie served on the board forever. Tom and Brian always were donors. I mean, it's been a great journey helping kids in the inner city through people from the Jewish Community Center in Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's there's many stories like that. I think that the impact that you had and the impact of Operation Dream on our community has to be one of the biggest victories of the relationships that we've all built and the friendships and the camaraderie, because that's just remarkable. It's just remarkable, and kudos to you for seeing that opportunity and taking advantage of the amazing relationships that you developed through basketball at the JCC.
Yeah, it was always my pleasure to be able to work with children's kids, people's children's, to be able to work with the children of the people who I was playing ball with. I coached Ned's daughter. I coached Bilski's son, Daniel. Bilski's now an attorney in Chicago. I used to take the teams that I worked at an inner city school and the kids I coached at the day school, like Ari. And after the end of the season, I asked the kids if they wanted to keep playing. And then I put the Jewish kids and the inner city black kids together. Then I go get a couple ringers. Jay Love know how to get them ringers. I go get a couple ringers. And before you know it, we all over the state winning tournaments. And we won the AAU championship in the state, girls and boys. And I had a girls team with Jewish and black kids. And I had a boys team with Jewish and black kids. So it's been great experience, not just Operation Dream, but some of the other initiatives we did. We had a mentoring program at Urban Waldorf where we had a membership at the J, and we brought kids there for incentives for doing good in the mentoring program.
There's been a lot of that helping the league. Jay Love mentioned Sean McDowell. people were trying to help him, and whether it was Keon was raising money for running Rebels or AAU
Yep.
programs or helping get people to school and kids to college. I think that camaraderie's been there. Someone mentioned Walt earlier, and I think what we really have, we keep talking about the league, and that's only like 15, 16, 17 weeks out of the year. But, a lot of us are playing year round, twice a week and things like that. It's almost like a no asshole policy. You come into the league and you want to be a stat stuffer and you want to be, top dog on a Sunday morning or Wednesday night. You're not going to last too long. You really have to change your game. You got to be a nice guy. Those people just don't stay. Man, we got talent all level looking, at Tom and I on the older side, and Damius who could dunk, and other people we mentioned, played college ball. It's a good diverse group of people, but the bottom line is everybody cares about everybody.
Yeah, well said. And that takes me to another story. I want to talk to Tom. Many times, we have life and death struggles that we help each other with off the court. And Tom actually had a life struggle, death struggle on the court, and was really fortunate to be at the J when this happened. And Tom, if you could just spend a couple minutes telling us about your story.
Yeah, back in August of 2021, I was playing ball Wednesday night. From what I recall, I was actually having a good game. And I dropped. I don't remember a thing. They said it was a heart attack, and luckily the right people at the JCC were there. They had an AED device next to the gym, and the staff members were there, and I was so lucky to have them there. If they weren't there, I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
And that's about what I remember that night.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't there. I got a call from Mark Shapiro shortly after it happened, saying that you had been taken to the hospital, and they were able to revive you, and I think you were awake on your way out.
Yeah.
But it was a very challenging time for people. But I think they took you out, and I understand you put your thumbs up, and you seemed okay. And then they resumed playing right away, which is typical at the J. Basketball continues. But I think the amazing victory is that you're better. It's been a couple years. You had a defibrillator put in your chest, and you're back playing, which is
Yes.
Wow.
The folks at Ascension St. Mary, the rehab people were tremendous. I was back on the court that following February. I didn't have a defibrillator. It's located underneath my clavicle. But the one best thing that I discovered out of this sad situation was I discovered red wine. Good for your heart.
Boy.
That's great. And it's being at the J, I having that support there. And there was an employee at the J was a physician, that two people responded to you right away. They knew exactly what to do. And so many people have heart events. Had you been at home or had you been driving your car, you may not be here today. And so thankful that you have the passion for basketball, because it's really basketball that probably saved your life.
Well, it certainly wasn't the guys on the court, because nobody there wanted to give him mouth to mouth.
Right.
And my brother Reggie
Hey, they teach us.
had the same thing
They
happen.
teach us chest compressions. If you can't do mouth to mouth, continuous chest compressions till somebody get there.
What's
So
that,
I was
Rodney?
saying, my brother Reggie had the same type of episode on the court at the JCC. He had a stroke right there, and if he wasn't at the J, who knows what might have happened. I mean, he recovered. It took him, he's in intensive care for 2.5 weeks. But he's at the J, and they, helped save his life. So, the J helps in many different
areas, not, never know what basketball leads to, but, just playing ball at the J can save your life and it can start a life. I don't know how many kids been born there, but I think I met a couple of ladies there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Damius, what
So,
keeps bringing you back to the J? I mean, you got talent, one of the better players in the league. You're playing all over the city, pickup and in other leagues. Why us?
So, on the contrary, despite what people believe, is I don't play much basketball uh, in the city or at all. But I mean, when I was in my 20s, when I was able to kind of play a little bit, I think the J. I think by the time I got like in my early 20s when I came out from college, I understood. And me and Twin was talking about this. I understood the fellowship. I understood. It's kind of like visiting your family. Sometimes you just call a family member. Hey, I'm in the area. Hey, I'm in the city. I'm in town. You stop by. You don't want nothing. You don't need nothing. You just want to kind of be in the room, just show face, see how people been doing. Things like that. So I think I understood the value of that at a pretty young age, for starters. And then sometimes the mornings, the time just worked. From a time perspective, get it out the way. You can go in, get a full run on Sunday. By 11 o'clock, you can be done, clean, and you still have the rest of the day. So, I think I definitely understood the long term
Give me a minute. I thought you were on with this.
benefit and the long term appreciation for it. I mean, just the question you asked: had I stopped, will we be even having these conversations? And Brian, I mean, you've helped me with some things from a business aspect. You helped me open, just having conversation, gave me some insight on some investment things like that. Jamie, we've always talked about things, from investment standpoints. And, so I think I just understood, as Twine used to say, when we used to always talk business, when he was coming down there, when I was working for the city, he's like, man, you got to grease some wheels, man. You just got to just keep checking those people greasing some wheels. So, I think that's what it was for me.
Great, great. Hey, I got some names blast from the past. I mean, I got all these names. I got all these lists from all these different leagues. I'm sorry, the one league, JCC league, different years. Like, Larry Rothenberg that wears this old uh, Boston Celtics jersey. Frank Miranda, Rob Marcus, Donnie Wamba. I mean, we got so many names from the past. Freddie Payback, Mark Wickman, John Alada, Dave Bordeaux, Dave Fine, Mike Friedman. What about the Hawkster? I would teach. Let me tell a quick story here, Jamie. Okay. I would bring guys from the city. Now, I was a decent ball player. Not that good, not that bad, in the middle somewhere. But I had guys that thought they was the shit. I mean, the stuff, And they would, act like they could beat everybody. I'd bring them down to the J. I'd tell them two things when I got to the J. Number one, if you're going for a layup and Bruce Marhar is in front of you, take a jump shot. Because if you don't, he's a former defensive back for the Detroit Lions and the New York Giants. He's taking you to the nickel seats if you try to get a layup. Now, that's one thing I tell everybody, all these so-called ballers from my, my realm of life. The second thing I do, since they were so good anyway, I tell them the whole Saul Lewin. Saul ate up everybody I brought out there. And Saul was damn near 50 when I started coming, because I was in my mid-30s. Saul Lewin ate up everybody that I brought out there from the city. But some of the, we used to have the mouth of the South, Goodrich, Dan Goodrich. I don't know if people remember that name, Dan Rosen. Dan Rosen could go. I mean, he had some stuff. Seymour, Bob Seymour. What about Ole and Lou? There's some names blast from the past.
Did you ever have Ole set a pick against you?
Oh yeah, big Ole.
300 pounds of a professional wrestler.
Hey, Barrage. I used to call him Larry Bird. You remember Jerry Prophet?
Oh,
Tom, you remember Jerry
yes,
Prophet?
I do.
Yeah.
So all these names Rodney's mentioning, Tommy's been nice enough to organize an annual alumni dinner somewhere around Thanksgiving. So even when you no longer play in the league or you move a little bit away, Tommy's been good enough to try to keep everybody together and relive these old stories and stats that Rodney's talking
Oh
about.
yes.
It's just fun. I mean, this league's been going on, and open basketball gym's been going on, I don't know, 40 years with open gym. And it just attracts a really diverse, great group of people. It's got to be something special is going on there compared to the whole city of Milwaukee and the
Yeah,
greater area.
Brian, I got your name here,
J Love.
Brian. I got your name on this list back in 2002. Brian Sadoff, Dale Rodman. Let's see here. Leon Snap. You want a name from the past? Leon Snap. What about Foreman?
Yeah, he's reading everybody that scored 4 points a game or lower.
What about Foreman that shot from half court?
Steve Foreman. How about
Hey,
Joe?
See, Love, you know what? I wish my dad was on here. Joe, Love, you ever hear him talk about Johnny Deacon?
Oh,
No.
Jenkins?
Deacon, let me hold on before y'all say something. Hold up, Barrage. Settle down before y'all say anything. And I'm gonna throw this out there that y'all can speak. Love.
Hmm.
They was saying I was a Deacons.
you
It would be something to watch if we was to play each other. That's how they said Deacons was doing it. But I'm taller, obviously. What was he, about 5'11", 6 feet?
not about 5'10",
I'm
5'11".
tall, about 5'11".
But no joke, he
Don't-
can go.
Nah, go Barrage. What was you getting ready to say? You I know you got some. It's like you moving
No,
your
I
legs
was
over there
done.
when
When
I
you
said
brought
that
up
name.
Dinkins, he's one of the best that came out there. That's for sure.
Anybody I
Yeah.
ever bring to the league or come to watch basketball, they always say, "Oh man, it's all about it's a bunch of old guys and this and that and the other." I'm like, it's not a pushover league. You just can't come down here and think you're gonna win. It ain't that easy.
No, it ain't.
These people
No.
are smarter than what you think. They'll set a pick. They do the right things to win
That's
the
it.
game instead of
Draft
playing
up a defense against you. That's
Juicy
one thing.
play.
That's a good
That's one
point,
thing I
J
always said
Love.
when I played in the
That's
Henderson.
a real good point because a lot of, like you say, a lot of people thought that I opened the door for a lot of black people to come to the JCC. That ain't the truth. I don't know who brought Ronnie Lockett down there, but Ronnie Lockett came, and then I think he got Steve Blackman them down there, and they started playing them videos in the barbershop, and everybody see them videos watching the games. Say, look at them old white slow dudes. Man, we beat them dudes. Man, they can't ball out. We come out there and dog them out. And then they came out there
and
and
hang the
they
push.
got had. They didn't get no championships. Only one, I think, Dirty got a championship.
Yep.
But I do want to talk about Steve Blackman, though.
I won my first
Yeah,
championship with
I do want to talk about Steve
Against
Blackman, though. Because when I first came and saw Steve would not drive the first year he played at the J. All he did, he didn't shoot from the sides. He didn't shoot no layups. He just stood out at the top of the key and shot up there all day. He didn't. And if you get up on him, he just bag up a little bit. And I mean, Steve Blackman wasn't no joke. I didn't know he was still playing in the league. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one. He used to bring his kids to the J, and Lamont, I think the ball was bigger than him when Lamont
Yeah.
would show up, probably in diapers, running around the
Yeah.
side of the court. And now he's playing.
Wow,
with
he's
us.
in the league?
That's just like Jalen.
Yeah.
Jalen and
True.
TJ,
Wow.
same thing.
Yeah.
It's
I got a question. When
Go
say
ahead.
Steve Blackman, if
Man, this is the
everybody-
longest
one
Twins
word.
been muted ever.
In one word, if everybody had to give one word to describe Blackman, what would it
I'm
be?
saving it for
what's
the
first thing
league,
to come to
man. I'm
mind?
saving the trash talk for the league.
What's
Tom,
my
you
word for Steve Blackman?
yeah, everybody had to say one word for Steve Blackman. What would it be?
Resilient.
Trash.
Zillion.
Trash.
Knee replacement. The guy still plays.
Here comes the rabbit hole.
I
Rise
can't
up.
do one word, but I will
Them
say
2 words, but
when Steve says this, it kills me. Good shot, Steve Blackman.
Good shit, Steve Blackman. or when he get mad at himself.
Oh boy.
I got a quick Steve Blackman. So we're playing in the Shorewood League, and I think Dave Gruber was on that team, and it's the final game in the finals, and we're down by 2 points. And there's like 6 seconds left, and Blackman probably scored like 40 points, and he comes down. I took the ball out. I gave it to him, and he comes down, just gets beyond half court. We're down by 2. The clock's running down. He throws one up from just, like close beyond the top of the key. And as he throws it up, he says, just very quietly, he goes, game. Ball swishes, and we won the lead. I'll never forget that. He on the release, he just said, game. That is Blackman. And what's amazing, he's back, and you think of a word. I think a linebacker. That guy is a brick
There's
wall.
stories. There's
He
stories. He played for Washington after I did. And when I first was playing and met Steve, my high school coach, Clyde Russ, said, "Where's Steve? You know Steve Blackman? You seen him?" And Clyde Russ said, he said when they won the championship upstate, everybody got all these honors, all tournament, this and that. And he said they would have never won the championship, the first championship, if Steve Blackman hadn't hit a shot in the semifinal. And he had me to bring Steve to a game, and he gave me the article from the Wisconsin State Journal that said something like Blackman hit shot, take Washington to the championship game. And he had that on a trophy for Steve. So it's some great memories. But I do have to bring up Dave Gruber now. Dave Gruber wasn't no joke at the league. That Dave averaged 40 points every year for at least 10 straight years. And he say, I can hear Dave Gruber saying this right now. Work it down low, guys. Work it down low. Well, he's the only one down low. So he wants that ball, and he don't miss no free throws. So Gruber averaged 40 every year. But I think Blackman, when he got out one time, he was away for a minute. When he got out one time, I think Blackman actually averaged 60 points.
probably. It wants me to ask the question. You talk about Gruber, you talk about Blackman. Who is in our generation? Who's the best player to play ball at the JCC?
Dame time.
Dame time.
Yeah.
Deion Edmonds.
Yeah.
Look at Damien's face. Look at Damien's face. He gonna call me after the game.
I think I got to go with Blackman. Only time Blackman didn't win championships when he wasn't there. We beat him one time for a championship.
If you ask me, I'm gonna say the most dominant is Dame.
I think
If I had
I don't know. I think it's
number
hard.
one,
It's hard to
he going
pick.
number one.
It's hard to pick one.
It's hard to pass him
Like
up.
Dwight.
Yeah, Dwight
you got to
Williams,
come up
yeah.
with like a team, like a first team all time in that league. At least from my time watching it, like Damius, Dwight, Greg, Blackman in his prime.
Rodney, what are you waiting on?
Those are probably my
Your
four.
coach.
Like,
Your coach.
Yeah,
Your
Gruber.
coach. Rodney. Rodney, Ari. Rodney.
So
Rodney, I saw you in the coaching era, not in your prime era.
When you were
I can't
like
speak on you
so
in
I
your
got
prime.
a first team.
in
me and my
97,
dad actually
98,
had this conversation.
Damian saw me.
I got a first team.
Damian saw me.
98, I was 4 years old.
Oh, no.
That's just when I started going to the J.
Playing with you. I'm playing with you. Barrage used the funniest dude because I don't know if you remember. I grab a rebound, and you know how you put your hands up like this to
Yeah.
come get the ball? Rodney used to come to me like this. Like this, I
Give me
got to
that
the ball.
ball. I want the ball.
And you know what's so funny? It stand out so much, it make you pay attention to it, which makes you give him the ball. He like, right here. Like, and you don't even feel like you want to pass. And it make you just like underhanded to him. But so first off, my first word for Steve, I think Steve is the GOAT. So my one word would be GOAT. Just the stories, I think more the timing. I mean, he the only dude, and see, y'all will know this. I don't know if Ari and them know this. They used to literally call the commissioner and tell the commissioner to not let Steve sign up for the league. Tom, I don't know if you remember that. When they was calling. Do you remember that, Brian? They was trying
Sounds familiar, yep.
So, I mean, again, I get the timing and all that, but I'm like, none of us had these stories where, you know, these were dudes his age. You know, some was older, but they were still within his age, and they was like, don't let him sign up, literally because he was too good. You got to talk to Tony. There was a story where Tom, you probably know, when Tony was leading the league in scoring, and it was the last game of the year, and Tony had like a 40-point game or something like that. Him and Steve had a bet of who was going to lead the league in scoring, and Steve played after Tony. So Tony, you know, he waited for Steve. They go calculate the points, and I think Steve needed like 70 points or something to beat him, and Steve had like 71 that game, like something crazy, right? So, you know, I just think, you know, for him to have him type, and this is Tony telling it. This ain't Steve. This is Tony telling this. This ain't Steve telling me. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I didn't see it, but that's your question, Jamie. Top five. Me and my pops was talking about this. His five was Blackman. Who did he put at his two? It was Blackman. Was it Deakins at the two?
You call him Dinkins? Are we talking about
Johnny Dinkins, yeah.
Yeah, John. I think he was the two. I think he had me at the three, Edmonds at the four. And see, y'all ain't none of y'all. And Barrage, I thought you would have mentioned the name Tremaine Hemmer.
Oh, Tremaine. I forgot about Tremaine.
You talking about
LeBron-
Tree?
Yes.
LeBron before
Right.
we
Get
knew
the way to
LeBron.
stop him.
He said that would be his five right there.
Yeah.
Tremaine. Is Tremaine
He
still
said that
around?
would be his five. He said the Greg Wisniewski, the Dwight Weathers, they'll be like second all team. He said that'll be the five.
That's a good five.
What about Howard Campbell?
Howard didn't have longevity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think he didn't come in to do
Yeah.
you know. But I felt like that about Evans. I was like, you know, we didn't get the
No,
best
he only
Evans.
played a
he
couple
came in,
years.
Barrage brought him in. We got a couple
No.
years of
Prime Darnell
Yeah.
Tatum too.
Yeah, DT.
that was my toughest defense. That was my toughest matchup. That was my Blackman, all of them. Darnell was my
Yeah.
toughest assignment because I couldn't time him. I could time Steve. I could beat Steve.
Prime Darnell is
I mean, Steve would still do
nuts.
Steve. I didn't have an answer for Darnell. Darnell be flicking and all unorthodox.
Yeah, I never
Steve had a rhythm.
seen a
All
prime
playing.
Dino.
Would you say? I didn't catch that.
I never really seen a
You
prime
never seen-
Dino.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can stick around for a few minutes. I want to kind of move on to the season preview. If you guys can hang on for a little bit, and kind of want to talk about last year. And last year it came down to Tropic versus Gruber, and I think Brian, were you on Gruber last year?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that final game and what happened there.
Real quick, guys. I gotta get rolling. I have a hard stop at 6. So I'm gonna get going. Great to
All
talk
right,
to
all right.
everybody.
Good
Thank you,
seeing
Art.
I'll talk
man.
to you guys soon. Damius and Jamie,
Wednesday.
All right, brother.
excited
Love.
to win a championship this year with you. So
Negative.
Yo.
I think me and Joe got something to do about that.
Hey, it ain't going through neither one of y'all. Y'all know it too. Hey, I seen it in J Love's face when he picked him that early. J Love was like,
A lot of the league
Right.
comes down to,
You know you fucked up, right?
to draft night. And it happened with Tommy and I back in 97. Tommy took a Johnny Dinkins and we won a championship. Last year, Jalen was a captain, took a guy named Talon, who ended up being Rookie of the Year and MVP. Talon wanted that last shot of that game to win it, and someone else on the team took it, and we missed. and lost basically at the buzzer. But it was a fun ride, and I think Jalen was actually the most improved because I think he came into the league the year before, wanted to lead the league in scoring, found out it didn't work for him, found out he needed to play as a team, and between him and DeLon, and we had the right chemistry, which is a big part of the league. If you could minimize the bickering, and it got us there, and we were one shot away.
Brian, you got a lot of championships.
Speaking of, hey
Brian
Brian,
might have the most appearances. Who's got the most
Yeah.
appearances, Tom or Brian? Probably Brian.
been a long time for me.
Warner, because he's always the last pick, and Damius is always the first.
Hey, I did have that going. I was trying to pick the oldest person. See, I won with the Dale Rodman. I won with who else? I was picking like the older dudes. I think Dale Rodman was the oldest guy in the league, but he could play. So I was like, Dale, I'm gonna pick you, man. We're gonna go ahead and do this.